Ends, activate.
Yeah, form of marketers.
Marketers, unite.
Form Mark.
Are you talking to yourself over there, Dave?
It could be.
You sound great, just like you do every day.
What happened to my camera?
Is it frozen?
I don't know. Let's see.
Well, we're officially live on Facebook.
Oh, I switched sides on you. Look at that.
Look at you. You've just pulled the old switcheroo.
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 You
So
had a
welcome.
on the end of that. Switcherooski.
Switcherooski. If you throw ski behind anything, it makes it automatically awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we got a cool episode today. This is episode, what is this? Episode 42 of the Almost Daily Show with your host, Chandler.
And the Dave Picardi.
We're here and we are ready to steer you in the right direction.
Or a direction.
Yeah. Or just anywhere. Doesn't even really matter.
Doesn't matter.
Today we have a cool topic. We wanted to talk about selling based off the relationship and selling people without actually having to trick them and show them like 4-quadrant strategies and do all the weird, crazy stuff people do to trick people to buy stuff.
Well, that's all fun though.
It is. It's like a game.
Well, unfortunately, I've been selling my whole life, and early on, I started businesses early, and it was always about. I figured out quickly that if you couldn't go out and sell yourself and actually get people to pay money and cut checks, you really couldn't really earn a good living. So I went out and was pretty aggressive with it, and I went through it. Just so much training, and I was lucky. I just recently realized that. So one of the companies was a Fortune 500 company, and they actually had the best sales training. So I just figured out that that's why. I never knew before why it was just always like you just constantly going to sales training, and it was because it was a Fortune 500 company.
Oh, that's exciting.
Imagine that. I didn't know.
Yeah, no idea.
It's just, there's so much like science behind it. And what happens to a lot of people is they get paralyzed early with it because you get into selling and you learn all this technique and all this stuff behind it. And then people go out and try to do what they were taught, and it's just uncomfortable. And they usually fail miserably. And it took me, I think I quit the world of that and got into the gym business so that I didn't have to sell anymore. And I just built relationships. And I always like that higher strategy and build a relationship, and sales come from that, and money comes, and it's not, you weren't selling a thing, you were selling yourself. So I really, I like that side of it much better. And I think what I realized was all the sales techniques and all the stuff they try to teach you, it's all very subtle things that happen during relationship building. You can't manufacture it. You have to learn how to sell yourself and the relationship first before any of that other stuff even works anyways.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we get into this idea and this fear of being rejected because we don't want people to say no to us. And we get that fear of people saying no out of the hatred that's born out of the sales process, because just like marketers ruining everything, salesmen are going to ruin everything. But if you focus on building the relationship and helping people understand that you're here just to communicate value and to show them whether or not what you're doing is going to work or make sense, people are much more likely to actually trust you and actually take your opinion and consider it valid versus taking your opinion and say, oh, he's just a salesman, he just wants to sell me stuff. But if you have a service business and someone walks in and wants to know about your product, and you really get to know them and they already know you from your social efforts, and then you take the time to help them understand what you do, you work to understand what they need and want. And then at the end, you tell them like, hey, this is going to work, we're going to move forward. Or, hey, I don't really think what we're doing is going to make sense for you, and I don't want to sell you something now because I know you're going to cancel later. But here's a couple people that you can actually go to who are going to be a good fit for you. And that's what it is. It's selling without selling, but selling people just by being a good communicator, not being afraid of that no.
Yeah, and I think something that like this really helped me. I'm gonna say, like, I can't sell anything I don't believe in. I actually clam up. I don't know what to say because I don't want to steer anybody wrong, and I honestly want to just help people. So for me, I'm a solutions guy. If I don't have it, I'll spend a whole day trying to find and help out you just to get you a solution to the thing, just because I know down the road, I don't view direct sales. I personally don't like direct sales. And I think I realized that if I just help everybody, eventually, it's either them or their friend or their family, somebody will come and purchase something from me. But really what it is if I believe in what I'm selling at the end of the day, it's not about the product. It's about them liking me personally. It's the relationship. So they're gonna buy or become a part of a client or whatever it is you're selling based on our relationship, not necessarily the product. And I think that's super important. The bigger brands, people buy big brands because they feel like they're part of the brand. And I think the bigger brands do well, but they have to spend a lot of money to get that result. And you have to learn how to do it as a small business owner. So you want to sell yourself. You want to believe in your product.
Yeah, that's a good point. I often find that if I'm in front of someone and I'm supposed to sell something or tell them something I don't believe in or I don't necessarily think is true, not only does it make me uncomfortable in the situation and make me feel insincere, but I'm worrying about it for 3 or 4 or 5 days afterward about what did I do the right thing? Did I sell the right way? Was it actually worth it? Did I give them the right info? And
right.
It's that genuine feeling and that genuine aspect where you really do care and you really do want to put them in a position to where they're going to be better off with or without you, that makes you a good salesman, because people can smell that. People have that detector. They know if you're bullshitting them and they know if you're not, and they know if you're sincere.
Well, this is the new world. So 20 years ago in my old business, you couldn't find anything. You had to come to a salesperson and get anything in life, right? And then salespeople were so aggressive back in the day, and it was such a highly competitive world. Now, the things that have changed is today I had to go pay a bill. But when I left my car walking into the facility to pay the bill, I Googled the competition and is there a cheaper option? Right. And I figured all that out in, it was probably 90 seconds tops, so there's nothing they could have said to me that would have changed anything. The difference is this was actually for insurance. So I came in and said, yeah, so I'm not sure. Do I pay the bill or do I just call Geico? And everyone was like, what? They were all upset at me. They thought I was so insulted. But the response was, Geico's not going to call you. Where are you going to go? Right? It was interesting, so it was do I go cheaper or do I go with the service? And I've got 20-year relationships with these people. So I'm going, well, maybe it costs me 10% more, but that's acceptable because when I need something, I call my friend to get it done. That's right. And that's super important.
Because you trust them. And that's the key. Sometimes when you're selling something, especially high value products or products that are service-based, you have to be able to come back to that person. And if you sell them bullshit, later on down the road, they're going to cancel and they're going to ask you and call you on what you sold. And you're going to have to get in a situation where you're uncomfortable and everybody's uncomfortable. And now you have a bad reputation. Whereas if right up front, you're open, you communicate well, and then you're following through with everything you said, that's when you build not only the customer up front, long-term to keep your clients and keep them around.
Right. So that brings up something else. So it's probably a different podcast. But this is where people get into trouble. This is where someone like me, and I'm guessing maybe you, although Chandler, if you guys don't know, Chandler's a rock star at everything. Best singer, dancer, marketer. I mean, pretty impressive. But I personally get in trouble here is I'm a really good networker and I love talking to people and I love helping. I honestly, when I meet someone, I want to know about them and hear about everything about them. Right. So I meet so many people though, there's actually relationship principles and things at play that it's really hard to meet expectations long-term with people that you have a relationship with. And so this gets down to especially in the business world, we can tie it into personal as well, but in the business world, you have so many clients and you have this network and all these relationships you've formed. If you don't have systems in place and actively nurture these relationships and make sure that you're keeping up with the relationship and whatever their expectation of it is, that's when you lose the relationships. And that's when, you could lose an account that you've had forever and you don't know what happened. But when you first had the account for years, maybe that person called you and could just shoot the shit with you and hang out, and you knew about their family and what was going on. And then you got yourself so busy with your business being successful that that person doesn't feel that you give them the same attention anymore. And so now what did so well for you up front with building the relationship could actually be a problem down the road if you haven't set your business up correctly to nurture them the way they expect to be nurtured. So you set the expectation up front, but you got to live up to it long term, which is a whole nother, I think, episode probably.
Oh yeah, that's setting expectations and upfront realizations of what's going to happen and how it's going to work and communication. That'll be a good episode.
I think so.
But the big thing is you got to, when you bring someone in to sell, you have to listen to what they're saying. You have to give feedback on what you feel about whether or not they need your service. You have to work to develop an understanding with that person. And you have to clearly define and understand whether or not they understood you. So at the end, these are our prices. Do those make sense to you? Yes or no? This is the way we move forward. Would you like to move forward? It's not some shady tactic where you try to skirt past it. You directly ask, like, do you understand? Yes or no? What don't you understand? And then we can define and outline that and continue moving forward and be clear and concise.
That's right. So wait a minute. So I actually worked at this place briefly where it was like a low-end furniture store and people could put everything on consignment. And so as long as you got any money out of them, that was a win for the day. And they'd put thousands of dollars and they'd have to come make payments on it. And so we actually got bonuses. So at the end of every day, if any salesman was able to get a customer to come back in and ask for an explanation of what they actually bought because they bought so much and just put money down, whatever salesperson could have that happen got a bonus for the day because they were able to sell them so much that the customer didn't even know what they bought, which is the worst kind of sell in the history of the world.
Yeah. Well, that's a good episode, Dave.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right.
Remember, just be ethical, communicate well, and in the next episode, maybe we'll do some role playing and we'll talk about how to set that expectation up front.
I'm going to get out my best dress for the role playing.
Oh, yeah. I'll wear a nice hat and a tuxedo.
All right. Great episode, sir.
Right. Good times. Until maybe tomorrow, whenever we see you.
Maybe.
We don't know.
Never know. Later, guys.
See ya.